The number 23 has more significance than you think. When you think 23, you think Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Caesar was stabbed 23 times. Add another one to your list. 23 is the number of times that Mike Dean reviewed the red card incident in West Ham's 0-0 draw against Fulham. 23. Painful waiting for the decision, but what was even more painful was the circumstances surrounding this red card. Lot to talk about in this video. Roll the titles. And Mike Dean, by the way, you're getting it in the neck, mate. Yeah, it's finished. Fulham 0, West Ham United 0 at Craven Cottage. I was thinking that West Ham would put in a good performance in this game. I said it in the preview. How wrong was I? That's proof that you don't count your chickens. Fulham were there for the taking on paper, but Fulham were the ones that put in more graft than West Ham. Fulham had plenty of shots on target and ripped through West Ham's defence so many times. I think that was because West Ham were looking very fatigued, very worn down, and very lethargic. There wasn't a lot of energy today from the players, and what's more, we have no depth. The lack of depth is starting to surface in the squad. And I'm just going to touch on the basics here because I want to expand on it later in the video. But the lack of depth worries me a bit. But the depth and the performance, in hindsight, are not the main talking points. It's what happened at the end of the game. And that is what everybody's raving on about. Pundits, social media, bloggers, etc. It's one decision that took away from the rest of the game's action. One major change to the starting 11 for West Ham, and the only change was that Jarrod Bowen was in for Ryan Fredericks. Quite sensible if you think about it. You don't need two right-backs against Fulham. Ryan Fredericks used to play for Fulham, so it was a return to Craven Cottage for him. The news before the game was that Mark Noble was back in the squad. Mipo Adebeko dropped out. Noble had been dealing with a family issue, and that's why he'd been away for quite some time. Because of that, West Ham had no recognised striker on the bench. The closest player we had was Ondrej Yarmolenko. So that wasn't good. Yes, Pablo Fornal's Manuel Lanzini were on the bench, but no striker. Again, this is because of lack of depth and lack of signings. As for Fulham, they packed up their midfield. They had a lot of midfield players starting that game. So I was interested to see how the West Ham players would go up against Fulham's midfield. We started the usual guys. Rice, Souček, Benrahma, Lingard, Bowen. If I were to sum up that first off in one word, flat. Flatter than a pancake. Just flat from West Ham. Didn't see a lot of energy. I didn't see a lot of intensity. And if anything, Fulham had the ball in West Ham's box a hell of a lot. Yeah, okay, Cresswell tried to cross the ball into the box and ended up shooting it off target. Yeah, fair enough. But Fulham had more intensity about them. Cresswell and Sofal, the fullbacks, they were the best players for West Ham in the first half, in my opinion. Cresswell put in a lot of crosses into the box, but no one was there to meet them. Souček came close, but that was about it. Sofal stayed grounded. As for the midfield, Benrahma was our best midfielder in that first half. Benrahma had a really strong first half. Having said that, still very flat and lethargic. Benrahma and Cresswell link-up was something that I saw in the first half. Wasn't expecting it, but it did work quite well. Antonio, I don't know what to say about Antonio. This is where I have to be kind of careful. Because I'm not going to say he was bad. Okay, I'm not saying that he was bad. But he looked tired. Bowen as well, off pace. There needs to be some consideration about Jarrod Bowen here. I don't think he really warrants a start right now. He's been off pace in the last few games. Okay, he scored against West Brom, but apart from that, he's been very off pace. He's not been up to standard. And at half time, I wanted to see Bowen off and either Fornals or Lanzini on. Preferably Fornals. and maybe Lanzini a little bit later just for that extra bit of energy. However, it was 0-0 at half-time. Okay, no goals scored, sharing the spoils. The commentators on DAZN said that it was an even game. Nah, Fulham were a bit more on top than West Ham. I thought that the second half was pretty much the same as the first half. Still very dull from West Ham. Nothing too exciting. I mean, the Villa game, West Ham were very exciting. And you could sense that a goal was coming from West Ham. Complete opposite here. You could sense that West Ham were going from an initial wanting to win mentality before the game to just playing out for a point and hoping for the best. That was not good. Okay, I mean, Fulham are struggling at the bottom of the league, and you could tell that they were fighting just from watching this, because Fulham were on top. Cavaleiro, Lookman and Ruben Loftus-Cheek all together were fantastic in terms of their link-up. Loftus-Cheek caused a lot of problems, and so did Lookman and Cavaleiro. Lookman is a tidy, tricky player who I would take at West Ham. He was causing the problems. Cavaliero's been in good form over the last few weeks. Fabianski parried a free kick. Well, half parried, half saved it. What else happened? A few corners that went into the box as well. But what really baffled me was the manager's decisions. Okay, you want to bring on substitutes because you need to change up the game. It's 55 minutes or so. West Ham need to change a plan. The substitutions that Moyes made were not the right ones, really, and it were just players that didn't really change the game in a big way, if you understand what I'm saying. These substitutions did not make any sense. Ondrej Yarmolenko and Mark Noble came on for Jarrod Bowen and Said Benrahma. Bowen coming off is completely understandable because Bowen didn't have a great game, but bringing Yarmolenko on? Why? He's apparently the most used substitute out of any other team in the Premier League. That's what the commentator said. And he's not going to offer anything on that side. In fact, he's just going to be hesitant and he's just going to get even slagged off more from me because that's all I ever do every time Yarmolenko comes on and I do an aftermath. I just end up slating him. I might as well just nickname him Chernobyl Samba or something like that. Mark Noble came on as well and Benrahma's coming off. That just killed any intensity in the midfield. Killed it. Because Benrahma is that player who is the engineer in West Ham's attacking midfield stance. Noble coming on killed that. I saw a slower and a little bit weaker West Ham after those substitutions were made. And no, they didn't really help. But at the same time, Moyes doesn't really have any impactful subs that can come on and make a difference. Fulham had those impactful subs. They had two strikers, Mitrović and Maja. Both of those came on because Fulham needed to get a goal, so they naturally put on those two forwards. Common sense thing from Scott Parker to do. West Ham can't bring on another striker. Why not? Oh, we ain't got one on the bench. So Antonio had to go off. Fredericks came on and Yarmolenko went up top on his own. And this is the thing as well. It's like we're having to ration Antonio because the manager doesn't want Antonio to do his hamstringing again. And because Antonio's the only striker, we've got to monitor the minutes with him to ensure that he doesn't get hurt. You shouldn't have to be doing that, but again, lack of depth. West Ham's only real meaningful chance in that second half was when Vladimir Sofal hit the crossbar with a header. And you might think, oh, well, West Ham are coming to life a bit here. They didn't really. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, narrowly close. Anguissa, straight at Fabianski. If anything, Fulham were going to score a goal, and you could see that happening in this game. But all the complaining and moaning prior to the 90th minute and the stoppage time, that's all about to go null. Because the other 90 minutes, i.e. the full game, did not become the point of interest. What happened next ended up becoming the major talking point. And it's happened time and time again this season with the same individual, the same system, and the same decisions. And this is what is going to be touched on as you can tell from the video's title. West Ham are about to take a free kick with Jesse Lingard behind the ball. At the top of the screen, Mitrović goes down, Souček's next to him. Replays show Souček and Mitrović shoving. Souček puts his elbow in front of Mitrovic's face. Mitrović goes down. Souček looks shocked. VAR, I'm doing a Neil Buchanan right there, heart attack thingy. VAR comes out. Possible red card incident. Mike Dean goes over to his VAR monitor where Lee Mason is waiting to help him, and they go and review it in multiple different angles. Slow motion, fast motion, sound effects, la-di-da. 23 times, like I said in the intro, 23 times that got looked over. Mitrović even went over to the referee and said that Souček didn't mean to do that. Souček looked surprised. It was just a little bit of shoving. Souček didn't see the player behind him, elbowed him like that. Accidental. Commentators on DAZN. Accidental. Everyone on Twitter. Oh, that's going to be really soft, but we're still fearing the worst. This could be a red card. It's Mike Dean. What do you think happens next? Red card for Tomàš Souček for violent conduct. And Souček's now facing a 3-game Premier League match ban. For an incident that was accidental. For something that wasn't intentionally malicious. Nor malicious at all. But Mike Dean's done it again because he wants to be centre of attention. Mike Dean has not had a good track record against West Ham. West Ham's last red card prior to the Fulham game was Arthur Masuaku. Who sent him off? Mike Dean. Sofiane Feghouli sent off against Manchester United in 2016-17. Who sent him off? Mike Dean. Did he get rescinded? Yes. Mike Dean sent 3 players off in 1 week of football. That needs to be looked into. And it needs to be looked into by a higher power. Because that is jokes. If you're sending off 3 players in 1 week for things that are petty and not deliberately bad in nature, what is the actual point? There needs to be some kind of investigation into Premier League referees using VAR here. Because VAR's taken over from natural common sense. So it seems. You have to look at the player, you have to look at the reactions. Just give Mitrović and Souček a talking to and said, look guys, don't be so rough. Just keep playing, respectfully and don't do anything stupid or you'll be off. And leave it at that. And then West Ham won't be down to 10 men. David Moyes was fuming at this. He was just mad. If you heard what he said to the interviewer, he told her, you're just talking about the red card. Because things like this and decisions like this become talking points. There might have been a major goal in the game. There may have been a really awesome moment. But the red card and a bad decision takes over from something that is more important or a game that should have been fun. I'm absolutely sick of it happening. And it's got to stop. Mike Dean needs to really have his job looked into and his decision making because he can't get away with stuff like this. It's a very, very, very... It's just a very... What's the word I'm looking for? It's very predictable from him these days now. And it's not even funny. It's the fact that the game was boring and Mike Dean wanted to be centre of attention. So that's why he made the sending off happen. Not because of common sense, not because there was actual violence used against the player. It's just because he wants to get it out there and stir up the pot a bit. After the game, Souček posted an apology on social media and said that he spoke to Mitrović. He doesn't need to be sorry, he's a class guy, did nothing wrong. West Ham should appeal this. I don't care what Moyes says, or I probably won't appeal it. You should appeal that. Come on, man. You're joking me. Get that appealed. Because that should be overturned. We're talking about one incident instead of the whole game. Yet again. And it's a joke. It's not just one incident. If it was one bad red card, I wouldn't be mad. If it was one bad offside, no one would be mad. But it's a regular occurrence in the Premier League. They say the Premier League is the best league in the world, yet it has the worst officiating. No referees went to the 2018 World Cup that were British, or from England at the very least. No English Premier League referees at the World Cup. Probably none going to Euro 2021. Oh, I wonder why. Stuff like this is the reason why. If Souček's appeal is unsuccessful, it means he's banned for 3 games. And what does that mean? Well, we don't really have another central midfielder other than Noble. And this all comes back to depth problems. We have no one that can create competition or even suitably fill a place. We just have to pray for the best and hope everyone stays fit and healthy and doesn't get suspended because of no investment in January. GSB will want this red card to be rescinded so that they can't be targeted for not spending. And fans can say, oh, well, at least Souček's back. We got him back at least. When it should be really, should have got another midfielder in, should have got another striker in. But you chose not to. And we could do with that right now, because Antonio's having to be monitored carefully in games. We're having to put like a protective bubble around him to protect him against getting injured. And that means him coming off. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the lack of depth. This happened in 15-16. Lack of good investment in January. And West Ham went from being Champions League contenders to dropping to 7th. It's happening again. Because of poor January spending. Not at least the lack of it. Okay? And we got Man United next in the FA Cup. After today's result, I'm a little bit nervous about that game. I have no idea how that's going to pan out, or even what the starting 11's going to be. I don't know who to choose, because we don't have a lot of choice in the team. There is a petition for Mike Dean to be fired, and I've seen it somewhere on Twitter. I'm not sure if a West Ham fan made it, or just a neutral fan made it, but there's a link to it in the description, and when I clicked on that, interesting enough, a lot of people have signed that. So if you want to sign up to it, whether it's legitimate or something that was created just in an angry heat at the moment kind of thing, just go and look at it in the link below in my description. All my social medias are in there as well, so you can go and check them out as well. Thank you very much for watching this episode of The Aftermath. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Man United are coming up next in the FA Cup. Then after that, we've got Sheffield United, a team who we should not take for mugs either. And we have to get a result now against Sheffield United. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care, and I'll see you all, well, Tuesday. Or maybe even Monday, because I've got to do Opposition Uncovered. So yeah, I'll see you all then.